I'm glad I can't have a heart attack anymore, as I don't have a heart. I certainly gave him my best shot, though, as the kobold just stood with her hand against the chimney. Thankfully, she seems to come to her senses before anyone else enters the attic, as she heads back down the ladder. She searches the house for the rest of the chimney, and eventually finds the fireplace that's connected to it. I'm glad she simply nods to herself before going down to the basement and the tunnels beyond. I think my resident at least understands that my core is very important and should be kept secret. Otherwise, she'd probably try to climb up the inside of the chimney. She probably still will, but I'm pretty sure she'll be doing it at night, when basically nobody is there. I need to get her something better to wear, though. To call what she has now rags would be a compliment. They only technically keep her decent, and she's got to be chilly like that. I don't know how to get her some clothes. I can't exactly send Fluffles to the local tailor with her measurements and some coins. Maybe I should have the rats try to steal some pants or something from the maze runners. I'm not 100% sure how equipment works here, but I don't think I can just snag something from a slot and call it a day. The rats have only been able to get things that are easily physically grabbed. They might be able to tear some clothes off of people, but that'd hardly be much of an improvement. Maybe I could have the spiders repair anything that gets torn. Wait. Spiders? I'm not an idiot, I swear. I just overthink things and get focused on one path easily. Yeah, that's my excuse. I don't think my spiders know how to make clothes. I don't either, really, but I can figure it out. I was able to tell a spider to weave a heart. I can get them to weave clothes. It'd probably cost a bit of mana, but I seriously doubt it'd be enough to make any kind of dent in my income now. I focus in on my secret library and upgrade it once more, wanting to make sure I have enough space to work on designs in my papers without messing up the alchemy stuff Queen's working on. However, this time when I upgrade it, my loose paper's organized into an actual book. I leave it open to the alchemy stuff and start working on designs on the other pages. I can see between them just fine. Okay, first, probably underwear. Softer silk, for at least the interior, tougher for the outside. Stretchier silk around the waist and legs, and tail, come to think of it. I started to design the usual flat pole access thing, before remembering that's a feature for male undies, not ladies. I briefly toyed with the idea of using something similar for her tail, but I don't want it to be too restrictive for her. Now for her upstairs. Well, she's going to probably like support. She looks like she could use it. Softer inside, tougher outside. Stretchier stuff for the actual support structure. Similar to the downstairs, really. Over the shoulders, underneath the boulders, make a comfy holder. Oh, wait, how to fasten? I could try a hook at the back, but that seems a bit difficult. I don't have much metal to make a hook, either. Tie it in the front? I don't think I can make it a single piece that just slips on. Without any other ideas, I go with that, and take a mental step back to consider the designs. And realize my secret library has basically become Victoria's secret library. I almost simply erased the designs, but she really does need something better to wear. With a mental sigh, I call several different spiders down to the tunnels. It looks like she's returned to the little cavern Fluffles dumped her in last night. That's as good a place for her to claim as any. I call a couple more spiders to bring her a few more mice for her, and she gives the procession of arachnids a confused look as they slowly pile into her space. The caterer has set a few mice not far from her, before everyone gets to work. She can tell I'm doing something, but definitely has no idea what. I can't really blame her. Who expects spiders to bring them dinner and then make them some silky underthings? I work on some designs for other clothes as well, but after my first attempt at proper clothing looks like a bodysuit, that'd leave little to the imagination, I move on to designing a simple robe for her. The bodysuit would be good under armor, which is what I had designed it for, but I don't know if I'll be able to do anything like that with the scyphal hide. And if I had her just running around in that suit, I'd be one distracted dungeon. By the time I get a robe designed, it looks like the spiders are done with her first bit of clothing and presented to her. She seems confused at first, wondering why spiders would hand her a very thick bit of web. Once she looks over it, though, she seems to light up with realization and seems happy to put them on. Yeah, I'm going to need the spiders to get that robe made too. Thankfully, it's a much simpler thing than the bra and panties, even if it's much more substantial. I wonder if my spiders gain some tailoring skill or something, because they seem to crank it out much faster. The robe almost looks pearlescent white once finished, and I think it complements her red scales nicely. It looks like she's almost tearing up as she accepts it and dons it, and I feel better knowing she's a bit more protected now. It's getting close to sunset too. The various delvers are mostly wrapping their stuff up, though there's still a few parties trying to do the adventuring thing a bit more seriously than the gatherers were for most of the day. Oh, I think that group wants to try and get the chest in the basement. I focus in on them to get a look at the daring group. Ah, looks like halflings are a thing here. He looks almost thick enough to be a dwarf, but no facial hair is a dead giveaway. He's got the classic sword and board and plate armor, so he's definitely their front line. There's an elf with a spear and a little goatee. Makes him look kind of sinister, but his chainmail isn't exactly dark and brooding. It's not unicorns and rainbows either, though. It just looks well used and well maintained. He's probably some kind of melee DPS kind of class if I had to guess. I think that's a lady gnome under the goggles and knickknacks, but it's a bit difficult to tell. She looks like support to me from how she's handing out bottles to the other two, but I can also see a different style of flask hooked into a belt loop. Looks like she can bring some boom when it's needed. Hopefully not too much boom. I did survive the quake just fine, but I'd rather not press my luck. She talks as she hands the potions out. So, we can all drink the lightning-resistant potions now, but anti-venom only works after the fact. My first grenade should dissolve the webbing in there, and that usually will disorient a swarm of spiders, but not always, so keep your guards up. This stuff will help your weapons actually harm a decent chunk of the swarm with your weapons. The fumes will weaken or kill spiders that get too close to it. The elf nods. So, more sweeping arcs than frosts. Got it. Anything else? The gnome considers for a few moments, then slowly nods as she hands the Meech a pill. If something goes wrong and we have to flee or we can't, take the pill. It'll counteract this poison gas, she said, gingerly pulling a reinforced bottle from her pack. I hope you won't need it, but that swarm down there looks mean, and this dungeon apparently likes to pull a few tricks. The halfling shrugs, but accepts the pill. I hear the dungeon is pretty friendly. I don't think it'd drop something nasty on us out of spite. Still, better safe than sorry. I wonder where these adventurers came from. They look almost as tough as Elfguy, but with more numbers. I make sure my medical ants are around down here, just in case the swarm is too much for them. It is level 8, and both venomous and lightning enhanced. The group drinks the resist potions, apply the salve, and it seems it's game time. They head down to the basement with the halfling in front, then the elf, then the gnome. The swarm hisses, bringing the encounter to an official start. While the spiders start to search for her, the gnome hurls a flask into the middle of the room. It seems like it's some kind of corrosion bomb or something. Maybe something like universal solvent wrapped around an M80. Whatever it specifically is, it does as the gnome said it would. The webbing dissolves very quickly, dropping the spiders from their home, and they have to try to reorient themselves towards the danger. The two melee fighters get a couple of swings in before the spiders get their crap together and lose a bit of chain lightning to hit the three. I think it's a bit more potent than the party had hoped, but not as potent as they feared. While the party tries to recover from the bolt, though, the spiders are able to advance and start biting the fighters. Sigarocco blade! Shouts the spear elf as he spins his weapon, a bit of fire trailing as he moves. The heat drives the spiders back, or simply kills the ones that don't evacuate quick enough. The gnome tosses another flask and shouts a warning. Concussion! Clearly they practice how to deal with that attack, as the spear elf moves behind the halfling and takes a knee, the butt of his spear on the ground. The halfling braces his shield just before a heavy whoop blasts the swarm. It's scattered a bit, but still not finished. The two fighters take their brief respite to drink their antidotes, and I can see the poison status wink out over both of them. However, it seems the recharge on the chain lightning is up, and the group suffers another blast. The spear elf and gnome each take a knee, looking like they're almost out of the fight. The halfling sees this and bellows at the spiders as he charges forward. Dead blow hammer! He cries as he brings his sword down, which seems an odd name for a sword move to me. It's a pretty accurate name, though. I can almost see a huge hammer hit the swarm, as an invisible force squashes a large number flat. It seems that's enough to fully scatter the swarm, and the party sags from their hard-won victory. The gnome moves slowly, but she gets potions for everyone passed out, and soon they're simply looking tired, instead of on the brink of death. They cheer at the loot in the chest, and I cheer for the manner I get from it. It looks like there's several different magical things in there, so good on them. That chest has been cooking for a while, so I'm not exactly surprised it's got good stuff in it. The party soon takes their hard-won loot and exit, and I think I'm going to leave the chest mostly undefended for a while, let it degrade a bit. That'll give the rat spawner room to breathe some, too. The basement isn't my biggest danger area anymore, after all. I want to get things a bit more gnarly underground. Speaking of underground, I should see what my little kobold is up to.